Hey guys, make sure to subscribe and turn notifications on for more Team Wars content. Hello everyone and welcome to the XO part of the Team Wars talk show, where we discuss a little more in depth about how and what went during the matches this time around with XO, as well as the meta-analysis, the division, as well as the groups. And today we have Mithyard joining us from XO. Say hello.
Hello, guys.
And yeah, let's just get straight into it. So we have the match report up on the screen. XO went up against Claw Clan, quite a fearsome opponent, and they were 4-3 at the end of the main season stage of round robin. Within this group, they had to face XO for their first match, and perhaps shockingly, due to the scoreline especially, XO managed to win 10-3. And it was thanks to Mithyard's valiant efforts getting 7 of the 10 wins, with Camneil also serving as the starter. And, well, Mithyard, what went during this match? What can you tell us, something perhaps memorable from these 7 wins that you had?
Well, starting off with the Cam, when he went 3-0, we already felt that something isn't right. Like, it should not be that, I wouldn't say easy, just unexpected. If you look at our previous war results, we usually struggled as a starter. But I think this is one of the first, or maybe second war Cam played this season. And he started 3-0. It's like, okay, Cam, you're just a god, I guess.
Yeah.
And the matchups were pretty good for Cam. It was like, as you can see, Harpies against Mallow, and then Harpies against Harpies. So it's like 50-50 at least, because it's definitely favorable against Mallow. And the last game, he won against Luna, but then like it's a basically counter.
Right.
So he lost the repeat. And then he unfortunately bricked with Mallow. He opened both Mozarta and Chopina in the starting opening hand. He couldn't play the game. We didn't have much of an option. We knew that for us, Lunalight is definitely a better matchup for Melody than the opposite. So I jumped in with Melody. So my first game, I actually remember it very clearly. I didn't open it too well. But my opponent, I think he lacked experience in this particular matchup. So what he did, he summoned a Cat Dancer in attack as a defense mode. Not in defense position, just a Cat Dancer in attack and like passes.
Right.
And immediately on next turn, he realized that mistake, that because of Cat Dancer is in attack mode and it cannot be destroyed by battle, I can use Score and attack more than one time into the 0 attack. So this game escalated very quickly.
Yeah, that does sound a little perhaps inexperienced with the matchup, because yeah, at least it cannot be destroyed by battle, but that's also a negative in this particular matchup.
Yes, that is very true. I'm still like, both decks, both Melodious and Lunalights are kind of evolving. Some people want to have a better matchup against Harpies, and people want to have a better matchup against Lunalights, against Melody. The deck is not the same as it was like even a week before. So one of the counters to Melodies is definitely Harpies, but my opponent Zuki played it very weird, I would say. He definitely opened a play, but he decided to just set a monster to keep Harpy's Hunting Ground live. And I just happened to open one of the most obscure hands ever with Ostinato and Sonata for like OTK having 4 monsters just attacking. And once again, that escalated quickly. And this was a very important, I think, victory, because that victory forced our opponents to do a repeat.
Right, yeah.
Of course, Melody is not the deck that's gonna streak a lot in a Harpies era, so the repeat of Harpies threw me away. Well, we are prepared. We are very prepared for that. Our second deck was Lunalight, and as it should, if Lunalight opens well, it defeats Harpies. And after that, I was like, okay, guys, I think I'm gonna last one more game, and we need to already start preparing someone else. Of course, as suspected, one of the counters to Lunalight is Melody, and T. Yamada came in with Melody. He opened pretty well, I think, but there is a very interesting interaction between this matchup. I don't know whether it is common or not, but did you know that the Bloom Diva, or actually it doesn't matter, any Melody monster, if it attacks a monster with higher stats, you can't activate Temperance from the hand.
Wait, so if they crash a Melodious monster, and
yes,
like they would take damage, you are unable to use Temperance due to it.
This is correct, yes. Oh. And now the second interesting interaction is that there cannot be different separate chain links in damage calculation. In damage calculation, there happens only one chain link. So if your opponent activates a Temperance first, like for example they attack with a bigger monster, you can chain your score. Yeah, but because if you use score when you attack a monster with higher attack stats than yours, if you use score didn't resolve yet. So Temperance doesn't know if it's gonna save any damage. And after score resolves, damage calculation ends. And Temperance completely missed the timing.
Wow.
So the only threat in this matchup is actually Sphere Karibo.
Yeah, that does sound very insightful in regards to this matchup, where you could perhaps steal a win away due to this interaction, or even lose if you're on the other end.
Yeah, this is definitely true. But I came with this we came with this whole interaction idea during the testing. We just noticed that, wait a second, Temperance doesn't save. Okay. So today, I don't remember, my list played either 2 Sphere, 2 Temperance, or 3 Sphere and 1 Temperance. I remember it was 4 hand traps, like standard. And one of the cards to improve Melody's matchup was Forbidden Chalice. So this was actually the Vidamagri's idea. He found out that sometimes Melody cannot not trigger Destiny Draw. And usually they do that when they have this the Bloom Diva, and it's really hard for Lunalight to out, like realistically. They have only 2 extra deck outs, which is Malevolent Scene and Tiger King. And if your opponent has a way to interrupt those, not Saber Dancer, that's a wrong towers-like monster. The Melody's one, the Bloom Diva, never gonna leave the field. With the Forbidden Chalice in the main deck that you can Destiny draw, the situations kind of change, I would say. And I don't remember if I used it on the Bloom Diva, because my opponents actually never summoned Bloom Diva in this matchup. They thought Shiberta was enough. And at some point, I just had more attacks than he had scores. And this is how I won the first game against Melodies. I made his monster 0 by Fox, and I had 3 attacks on that monster.
Right, so it was just even harder for them to try to defend against your onslaught of attacks.
Because they were out of Repeat.
Right.
We're now into very interactive game, Lunalight Mirror Match.
Yeah, we can all see how interactive it could be with basically whoever summons first could be losing.
It's not even whoever summons first, it's just whoever thinks the deck by 1 card. As soon as that happens, the other player can now just play a lot more passively than that player, because there are more defense than outs to Cat Dancer in this mirror match. At some point, I think he started and he opened either Tenki Martin or Emerald Martin, and as soon as he did that, I was like, oh, nice, you just thin your deck for 3 cards. That's something you should never do in the mirror match, unless you opened really good. So besides that, you also have a follow-up with the White Rabbit, you also have another follow-up with Lunalight Fusion, then yes. Because at some point you summon Tiger King, negate Cat Dancer effects to be an indestructible by battle, and yeah. But there is a cute part in this strategy from the just having Cat Dancer in defense and stall, is that you can actually reborn it with White Rabbit and then bounce White Rabbit with Yellow Martin to recycle the Cat Dancer the next time it will be out from the board.
Right, yeah. So it's always recyclable.
Yeah, it's more recyclable than any other play in the deck. It can be summoned 2 times with 2 Lunalight Fusion. It can be resummoned 3 times with White Rabbit, and also you can bounce White Rabbit 2 more times with Martin. And also you have Fox to protect it. I don't know, this matchup doesn't feel healthy, because whoever goes aggressive gonna lose.
Yeah, I can see that.
And this is what my opponent did.
Yeah, they thought perhaps it was in their advantage to try to end quickly, but as you noted, Cat Dancer is like the win card in this matchup because it's so hard to out it, not just, you know, because they do have a maximum of like 2 outs, or rather 1 out alone with Sin, but that out can easily just be negated thanks to, Fox. And again, if they have an attack position monster, you could even try to go for a game yourself, but it's obviously way better to just sit on Cat Dancer. It's always recyclable, thanks to White Rabbit. And yeah, that was the loss for Tiamara. How
Ye-
about Kurosuke, which is often regarded as one of the best, if not the best, Clockline player?
I actually don't remember this Melody game. I remember how it ended. So it's once again, they like to summon Schubert against Luna Lights, and I don't just I understand why, because they had a Necrofusion stat, and like the delay was obvious that it was Necrofusion. But the thing is, I never gonna like care about the Necrofusion. If you summon a monster that I can OTK or make attack to 0 and summon more monsters, then you have scores, then I don't care about your Necrofusion at all. And this is what happens. At some point, during the duel, I was really low on resources, and I had only one play to go for lethal right now, or I won't be able to recover at all. So I went for kind of risky play. By sending with Lunalight Fusion, I sent purple from the deck, and I think it was Fox from the hand. And this was the moment of truth, because if you would not, on the resolution, use the effect of Schuberta to banish purple Battlefly, if you would, use, I would be completely lost. He decided to pass it through, and this is the moment where we won. We activate purple Battlefly, we summon White Rabbit from the hand. Even though we did a normal summon, it's better to do that way, because we have 2 Cat Dancers on the field. He has a monster with 0 attack. We use White Rabbit effect, bounce both his back row, including Necrofusion, of course. Then we tribute it for Cat Dancer. Then we normal summon another Lunalight, and we tribute it for another Cat Dancer. He has a 0 attack monster, and I have 2 Cat Dancers that can attack 2 times. His hand was 3 cards, 2 of them were back row, 1 was unknown. It was indeed a score, so 1 Cat Dancer attack was stopped, but second Cat Dancer can still attack 2 times onto his 0 attack position monster, and this is how the duel ended.
Yeah, that sounds amazing in how you described it. It would have been like the do or die play, and fortunately, in this instance, it went your way. Even though you did mention that losing scenario, perhaps Kroski didn't quite see it at that time, but I'm sure he would have seen this in retrospect.
Sometimes during the duel, you need to understand that playing safe is definitely good, but there is always some point of the duel where you realize that if you don't push for game now, you're probably not winning it like at all.
Right.
Your opponent can just overgrind you, your opponent can have more top decks, like you just need to calculate that stuff, analyze that. And this is, I think, one of my strongest sides. I'm definitely not one of the better Duel Links players. Usually I'm like, I wouldn't say I misplay a lot, but sometimes the decisions I take are not that impressive. But when it comes to the situation where you need to realize when you need to do or die play, I think I'm always correct on that one.
Yeah, it's such an important skill to have as well because, well, obviously it makes the difference between winning and losing, but it's often not the most telegraphed play either because, well, you usually wouldn't take into account so many things at once, and you just have to go for it sometimes, you know?
Yep. Well, and for the final matchup between Krosuke Harpies and my Lunalight deck, I open Saber Dancer. What can I say?
Yeah, that's all there is to say in regards to this matchup as a whole, not just against Krosuke. We all know just how good Luna Lights really is up against Harpies, and well, we can obviously see that as well with the meta-analysis, where Luna Light up against Harpies is at 62.5%. Luna Light as well being the third most played deck within these 3 weeks, and trailing very closely behind Melodious. And I believe that's easily attributed to the popularity of Harpies. If you guys look at the without mirrors part, it's easily more than double for Harpies. And not to mention all those mirrors that we all know and love. So,
That is
Mithyard,
true.
if you have anything important or if you have anything to highlight within this meta-analysis for these 3 weeks, you can go ahead.
I think we'll see more DDDs in the future, and this week. The deck just came out the last week. People were not sure, and like week 7, or sorry, it was week 8.
Yeah.
Is actually very important for a lot of teams that are not realized yet what they're aiming for. For example, if we didn't win that big against Claw Clan, we probably would not be as motivated as we are now to fight BNP with all the power. We now have a real chance to top, and it includes to just win 2 games.
Yeah, it's no easy feat, but obviously, if you work hard for it and you understand the format, you try to your best to prepare for it, be it with testing or even with scrimming, anything can happen pretty much.
Yeah, so this is one of the reasons why people don't like bringing a new deck to already established format. Don't fix something that's not broken. And the format wasn't broken. The format was kind of solved. Harpies beating Melody, Lunalight beating Harpies, and Melody beating Lunalight. And as you can see on the spreadsheet, this is exactly what is happening.
Yeah.
However, the Force deck is something to consider, because Gaia definitely showed some, how to say it,
perhaps some glimmers of hope.
Impressive win streaks, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
I think we had like 3 8-1 or 8-2 win streaks this week, and most of them was done with Gaia.
Yeah.
Gaia is a very sacky deck, and you can build it however you like, you can test however you like, until you will get the hands that beat your opponent's hands. You won't be succeeding with this deck. This deck is basically, you have your hand, you look at your hand, you realize how the duel gonna end. If you open Eccentric for the back row, if you open the field spell, the monster for the field spell, if you open the Gaia for the field spell, if you open the book for the Harpy, and if you open the one like more interruption like Chalice or Treacherous. Chalice was actually really good to kind of help the Lunalight matchup. As you can see, Gaia beaten Lunalight 10-6, even though they have a Saber Dancer that is really hard to out, and the only out is actually Chalice.
Right.
Gaia turned out to be the well-rounded deck against those 3 dominant force. And even the 44.3% win rate against Harpies, you should not be decepted by that. That's something to consider looking into the future. 44% against one of the strongest deck from a 4th deck. You see how close this format is? I know people complain that, Harpies is so strong, it can pop the back row, it can do some insane turn 1 plays, it can do insane turn 2 OTKs. Yes, this is all true, but this all can be done by Gaia, just less consistent, but definitely more explosive. And as soon as you enter battle phase, and your opponent has no response, something bad gonna happen.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good point you're bringing with perhaps how sacky Gaia could be, and perhaps that is to attribute to that 4th position within this meta-analysis. You have your already established triangle of the meta with Harpies getting beaten by Lunalights, Lunalights being beaten by Melodious, Melodious being beaten by Harpies. But you have that 4th deck that just as used deck as far as Melodious and Lunalight counts are concerned, with Gaia that is completely having that green all around against all of the rogue decks. So it could also serve just as much as a counter to those decks that could have that better chance at winning against those triangle decks. So you would often see a lineup with these 3 decks, more so Harpies for like 3, maybe 4, Melodious 2, 3, Lunalight 1, 2, but you also have that Gaia almost all the time for these decks such as Fire Kings, such as Water, and yeah, it's just very exciting to see if perhaps, as well as you mentioned, the inclusion of DDD could shake up things. But at this point in time, where it's week 9 and there are still little to no playoff spots decided, it's gonna be a risk. But with the risk, there may come a reward.
That's a really good quote. Yeah, with the risk, there may be a reward, and this is actually what best describes another deck I wanted to talk a bit. Thunder Dragons. Thunder Dragon is one of the strongest deck if it opens good. It has consistency. If it opens good, I mean consistency, not if it just the overall consistency.
Definitely.
Consistency of plays, not consistency of hands. It has power. Levinier is still one of the most absurd cards printed in Duel Links, and I still think that it was maybe like 5 years earlier than it should have been printed.
Yeah, it's way too early for it.
And what is the best thing about Thunder Dragons is variety. Thunder Dragons can build in 3 different ways. Actually, no, 5. It can be built with Allure by Darkness skill, with the Chaos Betrayer, Pharaohs skill, Destiny Draw Send Spell and Trap. What was the 5th one? I don't remember. I'll just say 4, okay. Just 4 ways is enough. And in each of them, you can also build it differently as well. You can. One of the additions to Thunder Dragon is Odai's Advanced Dragon that helps outing Roach boards from Harpies. It is card searchable by melody. It replaced in some builds a 3rd Levinier just for the melody. Thunder Dragon can play so many different hand traps. You never predict what hand trap to expect. There could be a Sphere Kuriboh, there could be a Veil, there could be a Temperance, there could be a Parry Knights, and there is more. They also have their own archetypical defense, which is a Thunder Dragon Trap card, 100 Thunders. And as soon as this card was included into the deck, it never left it, because how good it is. How good it is against Harpies that you need to just break through the boards of a lot of Thunders summoning every turn, then Roar hitting back the trap and set it again. And this is basically until your opponent, and by your opponent I mean Harpy of course, will run out of all back row, so the Roach can be finally outed. And with the addition of Odai's Advanced Dragon, it can also be used just to summon a monster you want to tribute summon, and then you clear the Roach. Thunders is definitely not the top 3 or 4 decks for now, but I feel like we are getting back on track for this deck. It kinda, for the first month of Archive, and actually even before, I think it kinda went away for a while. And with the melody having some weird relation with Thunders, some people believe it is favorite for melody because of Schuberta banishing Lights monsters from the graveyard to stop the Levinier, and there is only one out to Bloom Diva in the entire deck, and this is M7. Well, guess what? Thunders now play 2 M7. So Thunders is one of the decks to easily evolve and adapt to every possible meta. It's not as a recon force as before, but it still must be acknowledged.
Yeah, that's a really good way to just describe the deck as a whole, not with just however the many builds, as you mentioned, at least 4 of them that can be built, especially most of them as well being on Ubel, which means that the scale may not be as easily telegraphed. Couple that with the hand traps that they could run, a multitude, couple that with some of the matchups that they excel in, couple that with obviously their engine power, just powering through for the summon of Levinier, as well as Advanced Dragon, the new card from Arc 5, which greatly helped with outing those Roach boards. You don't need to always recycle the trap or just play through the back row. Definitely we are seeing a return of Thunder Dragon, and I'm just excited to see if, especially the Japanese teams, which do love Thunder Dragon, they will actually finally succeed with perhaps a streak of Thunder Dragon.
Yeah, this is definitely something to look forward in the upcoming weeks. There are a few other decks like Blue Eyes, Fire King, Water, Triman, and Witchcrafter, but I think this is... I guess we can talk a bit more about Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes saw a lot of appearance during the week, but Fire King, Water, Triman, and Witchcrafter, this is like the outsiders of the format, I would say.
Yeah, the counter decks mostly.
Yeah, some teams use those to specifically counter one deck. For example, as you can see, Fire Kings is one of the best counters to Lunalights. Water is one of the best counters to Thunder Dragons, because of the Necrovalley main. Tramit is also one of the best counters to Thunder Dragons. Well, I guess it's only 1-0, so...
Yeah, not much, not many matches to back that, but we do know that it is the case.
Yeah, and Witchcrafter is one of the best counters to Lunalights as well. Just different people like Fire Kings, somebody like Witchcrafter, and somebody likes Melody.
Yeah.
This is the difference of choices from other teams. But Blue Eyes, it's in a weird spot. It's definitely not a top tier deck, not the second top tier deck, but it's not garbage. It can do some well stuff, but once again, it's a Saki deck. And we already have a better Saki deck, which is Gaia. So while having two Saki decks, and if you can see, the difference between the win rates are not even that big. Basically, Blue Eyes have, I guess, the better matchup against Harpies, that's the only difference. But the matchup against Melody is kind of same. Matchup against Lunalight is equal. Matchup against Thunders is slightly worse. You know, some people like to sack with Gaia. Some people can sack with Blue Eyes, because, let me tell you something. If your opponent activates Cards of Consonance, draw 2. Cards of Consonance, draw 2. Normal summon Sage, search a third stone. Special alternative, make a Spirit, summon 2 Blue Eyes in the end phase and set 2 back row. Well, you're probably losing this duel. But this happens once in like 5 or even 10 games, like such an insane hand. Usually, it is a lot worse. And, for example, Harpies can play through 1 Disruption with closed eyes, just hard drawing the Swallow Nest. Melody can play through 1 Disruption with closed eyes. They have a solo, they can force the Karma Cut with normal summon, and then they can follow up with solo or Ostinato. There are a lot of ways to do so. Lunalights don't care about such a disruption. Gaia can play through that disruption. As you can see, the average hands of Blue Eyes loses to the meta, but the good hands of the Blue Eyes can pick a fight. This is what the percentage here showed us. That if Blue Eyes opens good, it can beat any deck. But if it opens average, the result gonna be average as well.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. Just Blue Eyes as a whole being that that second Saki deck in the meta, where you have Gaia that already excels from opening the combo and the staples, which you can definitely use against most of the top tier decks. Whereas Blue Eyes, well, there's not much diversity, and well, you have to rely on opening exactly that that Cards of Consonance into drawing 2, setting 1, 2, and getting out that Blue Eyes, because else, well, you have Harpies and Melodious who are way faster decks, and it's just not as good anymore, and it's gotta open that Saki hand in order for it to do something. And with that, if you don't have anything else to add, we could move just a little to talk about the division.
Yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything. Yep.
Alright, so we have the division up on the screen. I'll explain just a little bit the situation that EXO is currently in. So, going into week 8 and the new groups, EXO actually was in that 3 and 4 position, which means that they had to win, or rather they have to win all 3 games within their group in order to have a good chance at making playoffs. And thankfully for the first game, they did win with a very good scoreline, which did add quite a lot of RD to their name. And not just that, but also some other previously 4 and 3 teams such as BR Meta and X Factors have lost their opening match, which, you know, not only puts their playoffs chances to a risk, but also makes way for EXO to move up in this division. But even though as of this season we have removed the second place division getting to the playoffs and instead replaced them with 4 more wildcards, it's still, you know, just a little more flair to be added to EXO, because they could end up getting number 2, because at this point it's impossible to overtake Pharaohs, who are having the season of their lifetime right now. And
this is true, yeah.
Yeah, and with that we can finally move on to the last point, which is the group discussion. We have mentioned quite a lot about the Claw Clan and EXO match, which was a very insightful ride where we took a look at Mithyard's games and slowly but surely tried to understand the place and the matchups as a whole. But in week 9, you guys will be facing the top member within this group, the second seeded at the time of the group's making, Bricks and Potatoes. It's a very fearful team that have been showing consistent results from previous seasons, and for the season, well, they did end up 5-2 within their very hard division. I don't know. Do you have any words or anything that you would like to tell us about Bricks and Potatoes and this upcoming match?
Last Killer shows that there is no unbeatable teams. There is just a better preparation. There is more misplays than your opponent. There is more concentration. This is something unique about team events. Unlike the single, where you play for yourself, you play for a team, and the pressure is much higher than you would play just for yourself in a single elimination or Swiss tournament. We analyzed both games from Claw Clan and EXO, of course, and Bricks and Last Killer. And we have some ideas. Of course, I won't share them, but
Right.
we'll come up with a plan for tomorrow, actually. The war will be tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it will be. It will be tomorrow,
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah. The first opening war of the week, and that's going to be decisive for us. I don't know, Bricks still have... If the Bricks loses, what happens? They're at 4 and 5?
They
Or
would be
five
at
and four.
5-4, yeah.
5 and 4. So if we defeated Bricks, then Bricks would need to win the last game, and then they will be qualified. That's how it works.
Yeah, if you are 6-4, with very or above average / good RD, you should be in.
Okay, yeah. So the goal for this war, for us, play safe, don't misplay. Remember that Bricks, they are really good players, and some of them are really good friends from me, but they're humans, and humans make mistakes. I hope that we both EXO and Bricks will train, prepare well. We should have like insane, great, and really entertaining war with a 9-9 record, and the final duel will be decisive. This is my hope for this one.
Yeah, it does sound like the do or die moment that we have been talking earlier in the segment. Well, 9-9, that would be immense pressure on both teams, the streamer, the viewers, everyone watching pretty much.
Yeah, we definitely don't have right now the most successful season, even comparing, I don't remember for the previous season, but I think this is the moment where we finally can show our true power. And if we can't, then we don't deserve to be in the playoffs. Let's put it that way.
Right, yeah. You are at the point where you have to win everything, and that, while it puts a little pressure on you, I do believe the bigger pressure could be as well on Bricks and Potatoes, because they have to cement their status and, get that one game in order to be pretty much guaranteed within the playoffs. And this is coming after their loss to Last Killer, a 2-5 team, but we know how upsets can always happen.
Yeah, this is very true.
And with that, if you do not have anything else to add, we could go to the ending segment where...
One thing I wanted to add, you know that Bricks are actually preparing for the war with all their power, all their concentration, all their roster. One of the things we noticed is Grucius was kind of inactive, but for this war, he's coming back.
Oh, yeah, we did notice inside the transfer news that Grucius is coming back, and well, for you guys, it is some bad timing, but at the very least, I guess you could include him in your secret plan preparation process.
Secret preparation process. I guess it's just play a lot of matchups, learn all the unexpected and expected. Definitely look at the new decks. Look at least what they can do. Look what their combos are. when to interrupt them. Look at some certain cards that they can pull right from the top of their deck, and you should be prepared and expected.
Yep.
Play some decks to see if they are worth bringing to the war or not. The preparation is always different after the release of new box, and usually it's on week 2. Like I said, the first week, people are kind of scared to bring new decks. They want to try it in the tournaments, in some other leagues, some cash tournaments, free tournaments, just to test. And then they will decide, is it worth to risk with the new decks, or is it better to conserve with the old decks?
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. Each time a new deck comes out, there's always that testing phase where they have to be, proving themselves in single-player tournaments, be it single nation or Swiss. And only then, if it does have those good results, maybe it can be used within these team formats, especially this particular Team Wars format due to the, no side deck addition. And with that, we could move on to the last part, just the shoutouts. If you have anything to say before we close out, Mithyard, do you have any last parting words?
Shout out to Zenith for basically taking over XO while most of the core members of XO, such as Tommy, Gabe, and others, are kind of inactive right now. They seems like lost interest in Duel Links, play more TCG. Shout out to Davide Magri for the Lunalite list with Chalice, was definitely something to be thanked to. Shout out to whole Team Wars for being a great and amazing and consistent league. And, I don't know, can I do a little advertisement?
Yeah, you can.
And shout out to another league that gonna be in U-Force, I hope, is called Squad Wars. You might have heard about that. It is very close to what Clan Wars was, but few simplifications. If you will be interested, you can DM me and I will send you a link.
Right, and with that was the long but very insightful part of this Team Wars Talks, where I'm very glad I had this discussion. It was extremely insightful, actually, to get to talk not just the face value of the matches or the meta-analysis, but more and more and more in-depth at every topic. So, thank you, and see you guys around.
Guys, I'm here joined by Gregulator, played really well in his match versus the 4-2 with Harpies and Gaia. So, Greg, how are you?
Hello, Radlo. Thank you for having me, and hello, Team Wars. It's good to be here.
Very exciting. Pharaohs is on. Pharaohs is crazy right now. They're undefeated, and I mean, yeah, you guys are doing great. How do you feel about Pharaohs?
I am ecstatic, obviously, for our performance this season. We're currently 8-0, and that's very, very good. I believe we have clinched the first seed in our division, so that's a very exciting opportunity for us to be going into the last 2 weeks comfortably getting that top 8 guaranteed. And it's just good vibes, and we're looking to build upon what we've done this season and carry it forward to hopefully a really deep playoff run and get a win.
So only one team, or in the history team, has gone undefeated. Destiny draw. Pharaohs.
Yeah.
Talk about the match. You brought Harpies and Gaia. Do you like that as a pair together?
Yeah. I think it's okay. I feel like one of the main reasons why you want a Gaia deck is because Thunder Dragon is super rogue. Like, as you can see, we brought it ourselves. Trap had a very strong performance with his Thunder Dragon, and Victor and I believe some other players in Divine also have Thunder Dragon. And if you notice some other match reports, there's only a couple of teams that would bring it, but we feel it's really threatening. So I think having that Gaia in the back that can get past Battling Boxer Veil, especially the Karibos, all those hand traps, I feel like it could be it's a nice deck to have in the back. I don't think you need many, but we had one, and I mean, as you can see, it didn't really counter anything. It was just my second deck. I feel like the Blue Eyes was just something that we didn't really plan for. It's a Blue Eyes deck. It's either gonna brick or it's gonna pop off. So we just decided to send a consistent deck in. We had, I mean, everybody can probably assume multiple Harpies is good. So I just went in with one of my Harpies and it was fine.
Yeah, Harpies. Obviously, just consistent, you were able to do that. And once your Harpies did lose to Lunite, you were able to take another win with Gaia, taking out Dizzy Bat's first deck. I mean, it's pretty solid. Harpies did more than well enough, and Gaia kept up the pace. Fine for them. Yeah. Do you have a favorite deck to play in this meta so far, now that it's had some time to develop?
Absolutely not. I don't like any of the decks.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I just play, but I would say, I guess, is it bad to say my favorite deck is Harpies? Like, because it's Harpies. I don't really
it's
understand.
Harpies. It's a good deck, you know. Can't really go wrong there.
I just like the LARPing, you know, the My Valentine voice lines. That's literally the only positive. It's literally Duel Links is just a big LARP.
It used to
be
LARP is yeah. It used to be the only skills were like beat down and ties that bind. Now it's only anime skills.
Yeah, it's just a LARPing simulator. So that's kind of the point. Like with Duel Links, you know, they got that. 2021 has been all about anime decks. You know, we start off the year with Blue Eyes, and we got some of that Photon stuff. The Onomats was like half the year was literally half the year. You know, Yuma was the best deck in the game.
Yeah,
there's Gaia still present. The newest deck Melodious, DDD. I mean, it's just a big LARP simulator.
Really, especially a lot of the newer worlds they're pushing with their anime decks. I mean, that's what you guys always been.
Yeah, I mean, so if you're an anime fan, you know, I guess some of these decks are really nice to have. I wish some of them were better. I think DDD looks really fun. To play and to play against. I mean, we'll have to do more testing and see. But I think going forward, I could only expect, you know, some of the decks to hopefully increase in power level, because it's been kind of like whatever. I mean, all my favorite decks have died. I've just been playing whatever's good. Unfortunately. But I mean, you know, when you have it, yeah. But it's fine.
I have fun with the voice lines. Like I would always, if a character had a unique voice line, I would always try to use that character in the deck. Like Jaden Yuki has a line for Mass Change, so every time I play Masked Heroes, I would try to play it on Jaden if I could.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? Especially with Taiza binds Harpies, seen play here and there, but like, there's nothing better than swoop in Harpy Lady.
Exactly. Yeah, the voice acting is pretty fun in this game. I think that's some of the more fun in the game. You know, just being a kid again. Honestly,
it's the only way to tolerate this game.
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, you guys, I mean, we didn't really see too many of the decks from Pharaohs, considering you guys won 10-5, but, you know, you guys brought some fun decks. Lunalight is a fun deck. I mean, Lunalight is kind of is rising again after being dead for a bit, right?
I just think, because, especially in the last format and this format specifically, like, Onomat and Harpies of their respective formats just felt like they were just better than everything else. And I don't think there are many decks that just auto win versus those two decks than Lunalight. And I guess we know it's not like, you know, the greatest big brain deck of all time, but if it doesn't matter how skillful your deck is, if it just loses to Harpies more than half the time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. It's not smart to try to counter those decks with anything that's not auto win, because like if you just throw down your Saber Dancer, you go Ooga Booga, and like they still have to answer. It doesn't matter how. Yeah, it's a deck building. It's a lineup building choice that I feel like a lot of teams don't, especially earlier in the season, like in the middle parts, didn't really utilize like we did. But it definitely had its place in this format, where if it gets the best deck off the board, off the field, then it did its job. And anything more is just, you know, a plus. Yeah.
There's a lot of value in those niche, like just one win decks. And we've seen that in the history of Team Wars. A lot of people would just run decks only to win one deck. Like for example, Buster Blader in the Kawaki meta, people only ran Buster because of Kawaki pretty much, and it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, people are just upset because it's Lunalights. I mean, yes, I understand it's not the most you don't have to be a scientist to play this deck.
But I mean, it's not like a lot of the decks here.
It's beating Harpies. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure like there's some stats that back that up.
We can look at the
if they're-
meta-analysis after.
Yeah,
We can pull that up right now. Right.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, what's the win rate?
Let's see. Harpies versus Harpies only win 37% of the time versus, and is by far Harpies' worst match.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the row for Harpies, everything is green or yellow except versus Lunalight.
Yeah.
So if the Lunalight, if you come in, you get the Harpy off the field, then you did its job. It did its job. Okay, great, good job, Lunalight.
I mean, you're looking like you look at it. It's also, I mean, just that Lunalight, the only green matchup for Lunalight, other than Water Excites.
Well,
Not really that much evidence there.
water is not a deck.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah, it's
sorry.
not a real thing. There's only been 5. But yeah, it just shows the importance. Like, if you can auto win versus Harpies, that's just really important to have. Just whether it be
you should at least
something.
you should at least consider the deck. Like I mean, until people start bringing other decks that can at least be green versus Harpies, then this is the only deck we should be talking. This
Yeah.
or the mirror match.
Sure. Harpies is that dominant meta so far. Having Luke there to count, pretty solid. At this, you guys are officially playing. Doesn't even come down to round differential. Or if you lose the next 2, Phoenix and their next 2, you're still in the first place division, which is really great.
Yeah, Diffusion really gave it through us a favor this week and losing in week 8. I don't remember. I think it was to Chicks with Decks,
which they were the heavy favorites by far.
And like that's no disrespect to Chicks with Decks, but like
no disrespect.
Diffusion should be winning that.
Yeah, they
and I
just
think
are the stronger teams. And that loss is really unfortunate for them.
It's Yu-Gi-Oh, and that cost them their chance at the number 1 seed in the division. But they're still they're a very good team. I love a lot of those players. I used to play with a good handful of them.
Yeah,
back on Animal Plays.
Yeah.
What a throwback. I know. But so I'm sure they'll make playoffs. I don't see. Yeah, they're a good team. I expect them to.
The only thing that worries me for Diffusion is Chicks with Deck is the worst team in their group. So you really wanted to get that win because now they're gonna have to face a better team, record wise. So hopefully they can regain, get stronger.
I mean it's Duel Links. Upsets happen. Like we see it. It's not uncommon for worse ranked teams to just steal a win. Sometimes from better ranked teams. It happens. It happens. Like you shouldn't read too much into it. It's not like Diffusion's all of a sudden a horrible team. It's just
of course. That's just part of it.
Chicks with Decks had a day. Yeah.
Sometimes you just get sacked. Yeah. I think we've covered everything unless you want to say anything else about the match report or give any shout outs. Other than that,
I just want to shout out, my teammates that were on the roster with me. It's a very fun time in the VC. I've not really been much of a VC guy in Team Wars. But this season, our team really enjoys our company with one another.
That's great.
So it's just been a very fun experience. I think it's the best way, especially when you're just having a good time.
I agree.
It's easier to win when you're having a good time.
I think team chemistry is really underrated when it comes to just being a team. Like a lot of times, it's just you see a lot of good players on teams. They don't have that chemistry that's really needed. Because sometimes it really becomes important when it comes to working together and really wanting to win. Definitely gives you guys a boost. So that is great to hear. I wish you best of luck in the next 2 rounds. Playoffs, me. By the way, congrats on clinching first. Congrats on your 4-2 performance. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very, very much.
Well, guys, here I am joined with us from ASAP and Mike from Kizuki. Been on a roll recently. Big win streak. They're doing great. Guys, how
What's up?
Yo. Doing good.
So last week, you guys won 2 versus Rookies, which is a really good team. You guys expecting that coming into this?
Definitely not. I mean, I was expecting like a close war. We had like practiced a lot, but I was not expecting like a blowout for sure.
So, I mean, 2 right here, I'm looking at, obviously, Gaia streak, picking up 8 wins. Been playing great recently. You guys like Gaia as a deck a lot?
It's one of our one of the decks that seems to do better against Harpies from our experience, I guess. Which is nice because it's at least reliable, and then it also doesn't fold too hard to the hand trap decks. But yeah, about Josie's, he's been I think it's 17-2, or I guess now 17-4 over the last 3 weeks or something. Or wait, I think it's 17-2. Yeah.
Yeah, I know last week. Yeah, and Mike, you use Melodious. Do you like Melodious? I know it's a new deck, but it's pretty fun to watch. You like?
I think it's pretty decent as long as you're not playing the mirror. I think the mirror's a bit less enjoyable, but otherwise it's pretty fun. Yeah.
It really kind of pops. Watch for the view. ASAP, what kind of decks have you been liking recently in this meta? I'm curious. Anything at all?
I mean, Melodious is kind of fun. I've been playing that Territory of the Shark Christian deck a lot recently, but that deck's cool because you can make fusion, synchros, and exes.
That deck looks fun. I love Christians back when they first came.
Yeah, the deck's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you guys really went crazy. Josie's won versus pretty much all different kinds. They beat Blue Eyes, Harpies, Dinos, and even beating 2 repeats, which is really impressive. Not just 1, but taking out 2.
Yeah, the best thing about Josie's playing is he's not on VC when he plays, right? So it was me, Mike, and Gold just chilling in VC, just watching, pretty much casting the game.
Just watching him tear it up.
Yeah, we're just chilling, eating some popcorn, sitting back.
Just watching him go 8-2, 8-0 to start even. Just crazy. That's absolutely a great performance. Well, he should be winning Player of the Week for sure. And I think he's also in the for last week.
Yeah, I think he went 7-0 to close out the war last week or something.
Yeah, that's really good. He's been on a roll. And Rookies is definitely a tough match. One of your hardest opponents. One of your harder opponents for the group stage, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe we have FHX the last week, but this was definitely another team we were worried about, just because although their record is deceptive, because we knew they were a good team.
Yeah, I mean, Rookies, it is not the best now, but they're still rookies, and they've just been so consistent.
Yeah, for sure.
Move over, take a look at the divisions. You guys have been moving up rapidly after that 3-game loss. How did it feel when you guys were down 0-3? What was the mentality?
It was just that we had to practice a lot, really. I mean, it obviously sucked starting off so bad, because I feel we weren't we knew we weren't losing because of a lot of misplays or anything. It was just kind of our opponents drawing better than us, because that was during that whole Onomat.
Yeah, the Onomat
meta. Yeah. And sort of after the Onomat nerf, I guess, was when things turned around for us. It was just a lot of times the best answer to the Onomat mirror or Onomats was just the mirror, which was just not great.
Which is just, it's not fun for anybody. Down to a coin times.
Yeah, for sure.
When you guys were down, was there any part of you guys that just thought the season was over already? Needless part.
I don't really think so personally. I mean, I definitely had faith in us, just kind of we had a lot of good players. We just had to put it all together.
Yeah, for sure. Especially being a new team, the pressure was really on. But you guys totally turned it around with a 5-game win streak. Now you guys are looking good to be in a playoff position. Second in your
Yeah, for sure.
stronger team. So I mean, yeah, I do believe if you guys up the good work, I think you only have to win one of your next 2, and you should be looking for a playoff. You guys are doing. Next week.
I mean, we can tell you right now.
Who you guys up against next? The Legend.
Yeah,
the Legends.
Yeah. Sorry, but yeah, I mean, the Legends have been on quite the slump recently. So hopefully you guys can keep your momentum. That up. Really the kind of story. Nobody expected this. Nobody expected the 5-game win streak back. Very impressive.
Yeah.
Second, and maybe even first in the case, depending on the story.
Yep. I didn't expect it. I thought I was ready to play some memes like not, but oh well. We just kept on winning.
Yeah, you guys have a really strong roster. Nobody really expected you guys to start 0-3 either, but you guys got your stuff together. You guys practiced a lot, right? And it's clearly paid off for you guys now. You guys are really working together as a team, which is great to see.
True.
And we can move on to just looking at the new meta, because now the last week of Team Wars, the meta was kind of still fresh. There hasn't had enough time to develop, and now that it's developed, are there any new decks that have kind of risen in your attention you guys like or want to keep an eye on?
I mean, one thing we definitely dislike is Luna Lights, but other than that, I mean, like, we've kind of always brought Gaia as, like, that counter. And I know, like, last week, I think the win rate for it was, like, pretty bad, which was something that was surprising.
Yeah. I mean, this week, Gaia has done
This
good
week
versus
it's
Luna.
better, but yeah.
Sure. One thing interesting about Luna Light, it doesn't really have any good matchups, except for it has a great Harpy match. I think it really puts it on the board.
Yeah.
You can just sum up.
Yeah, I do feel like it is, like, a high roll deck in a way, though. Just because, like, a lot of times you need to, like, go second, or you need to, like, see your Bird Martin combo. Otherwise, you do just have, like, high odds of getting sacked, which is a bit of an issue.
Yeah, it's always scary. As a Luna Light player versus Harpy, like double Nast or something
Yeah.
into OTK.
Always. I mean, Harpy is really dominant. Like, Harpy doesn't have any bad matchup. Like, it wins pretty consistently versus all the decks. That's the only deck it struggles with, but even then, it can still take some wins out. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, they have outs.
I mean, isn't coming up like Tree Mid coming back, even Water coming back to an extent. It looks like.
Yeah. Better than Automat.
Yeah, but kind of Automat has been wiped from existence, which I don't think anybody's upset about. Leads way to a new meta. Hopefully we'll get some exciting new decks. Because I don't think we've really gotten new decks, more so just old decks got better. It's Melodious.
Yeah, it's not too many new decks, I guess. Except for, like, I mean, with the new box or whatever, we got, like, DDD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we'll see how things advance further. As the meta even develops further, we'll see if any new techs come to take on some decks, which have been seen. It's kind of crazy when you look at how common Harpies are. Like, Harpies has played, without mirrors considered, Harpies has played 360 matchups, which is double the amount of the next most deck.
Yeah. That's actually kind of nuts. It's exactly double.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of pretty funny. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. We'll see, in the future weeks. Only 2 weeks left till playoffs. Right now, your playoff picture is looking pretty solid. Looking pretty solid with 3 losses on the table. Most teams that are 6-4, when you are 6-4, it does depend on RD a lot. But right now, you guys are looking good. Second place in the division is a great spot to be in. Yeah, we have to say. You guys have any shout outs you want to give?
Shout out to Josie's.
Of course,
For
yeah.
sure, for turning this around. And then shout out to the rest of the players on KR that have been working really hard to keep the streak going, I guess.
Yeah. Everyone's got their eyes on you right now as kind of the Cinderella story of the league here. Any team has had such a rough start, turned around by a big win. So I think everyone's got their eyes on you to see, rooting for you to make the play. Dog story. Should be exciting to watch. I'll be looking forward to your next 2 matches. Thank you guys for coming.
Yep.
ASAP, do you have any closing words?
No, just saying shout out to Josie's and everyone else.
Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for